What's up, guys? My name's Alex from Diablo 3 Strategies HD, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a monk solo Inferno build. Pretty much this build is based around playing Inferno by yourself, not playing with any kind of DPS class like a wizard or a demon hunter. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the build. So as my primary skill, you have two options, and I usually use Deadly Reach with Keen Eye. Now, Deadly Reach with Keen Eye is a really great combo because Keen Eye increases your armor by 50% for 4 seconds every 3 strikes. And you're doing these strikes really quickly anyway, so you're going to have 50% increased armor at all times, which is a lot of extra armor. And that's why Keen Eye is a really effective ability, especially on like boss fights, because you can just sit there and just keep spamming Deadly Reach, and you'll always keep that armor buff on. So Keen Eye, Deadly Reach with Keen Eye, really great ability, really great rune. If you're using Deadly Reach, you have to have Keen Eye on. It's the best rune for it. Now the other ability you can use is Fist of Thunder with Thunder Clap. Now the Thunder Clap will make it to where you teleport and release a shockwave that hits all enemies within a certain radius and hits the primary target for 35% extra damage added on to the 110% damage. So Thunder Clap will do some AoE damage and also deal a little bit more damage than Deadly Reach, but with Deadly Reach and Keen Eye, it's really going to increase your survivability. Really going to want that. It's really great ability. So moving on to your right click, your secondary ability. I don't use any of these 3 abilities because they're all pretty mediocre in my opinion. The real abilities that you're going to be using is your defensive abilities. So as my secondary, I like to use Breath of Heaven. And for Breath of Heaven, there's 2 runes really that are really worth using. The first one's Circle of Life. So this will increase the healing power up to 8,000, between 8,000 and 9,600, which right now without Circle of Life, you'll heal for 6,200 to 7,400, which is some, it's some health. It's a good ability to heal yourself when you're getting hurt instead of having to waste a potion and waste your potion cooldown. And also with Circle of Life, it'll increase that healing power, making it to where you can heal for more. But in late game Inferno, really 9,000, 9,600 health really isn't a lot. It's going to be around a third of your health or less. It depends on how much vitality you're stacking. Really, you might not have that much vitality, it depends. But if Circle of Life or Breath of Heaven just really isn't enough healing for you, Breath of Heaven is still going to be a great ability because you can use the Blazing Wrath rune. Now, Blazing Wrath makes it to where Breath of Heaven increases the damage of your attacks by 15% for 45 seconds. So with 15% increased attack speed, or not increased attack speed, but 15% increased damage for 45 seconds is a really effective ability because with 15% increased damage, you're going to be able to deal a lot more damage, and you still get that 6,200 to 7,400 heal, which is really effective. And plus, Breath of Heaven has a 15-second cooldown, and Blazing Wrath lasts for 45 seconds. So you can keep that damage buff up at all times. Really great ability. Blazing Wrath is like probably the most, the one that I'd recommend the most. It's the one I use the most when I use Breath of Heaven. So Blazing Wrath with Breath of Heaven, great ability, great rune, really good. Now, moving on to your first ability, you're going to want to use Blinding Flash. So Blinding Flash makes it to where you blind all enemies within 20 yards for 3 seconds. And elite enemies will recover quicker, but they suffer a 30% chance to miss with attacks. So if you Blinding Flash some elite enemies, you will make it to where they don't know what's up for 3 seconds. They will recover faster, but then they suffer a 30% chance to miss attacks. And if they miss 30% of their attacks, then that's a 30% chance you don't take any damage. And so that's a really good ability. Plus, when you blind regular enemies, they don't know, they can't see for like those 3 seconds. So that's just 3 seconds that you just get to deal damage, and they don't even attack back. So there's 2 runes really that are effective for Blinding Flash. The first one being Self-Reflection. This one will increase the duration to 4 seconds. So that way you have an extra second that they're blinded. That's really good, but also Searing Light increases the chance that elite enemies will miss attacks to 60%. That's the one that I usually use because if you use it on elite, now they have 60% chance that they miss their attacks, which means a 60% chance you don't take any damage. That's a really good ability, especially in Inferno, because they will deal a lot of damage towards the late game. So Searing Light is a really good ability. Definitely going to use Blinding Flash with Searing Light. Really effective. If you don't want to use Searing Light, you can use Self-Reflection. Either one works. Searing Light, in my opinion, is better. So on to my next ability. As my secondary ability here, I like to use Serenity. Serenity is a really good ability because it makes it to where you are in a protective shield that absorbs all incoming damage. So, and it also grants immunity to all control impairing effects. So if you get frozen, just use that and you are free. You're no longer frozen. It is really great. All it has is 20-second cooldown and it only costs 10 spirit. It's really effective. And there's really one ruin that I always use, and that's Ascension, which increases the duration of Serenity to 4 seconds. That's really good to have just because it's an extra second of being invincible, and that's why that's a really good ability to have. I always use Ascension because the extra second can save your life at some times, because it'll make it to where you won't take damage for another second, which could be the difference between killing a boss and dying from a boss. So that is what I always use, is Serenity with Ascension. So now we're moving on to the next ability. Don't use any of those. Yeah, don't use any of those really. I do use Sweeping Wind though, and I usually use Blade Storm because with Blade Storm it intensifies the damage to 20% per stack. So with 3 stacks, which is the maximum you can get, you have 60% weapon damage compared to a regular 45. So that's an additional 15% damage, which is really going to increase your DPS, and that's also going to help kill things much quicker and help increase your survivability. So Blade Storm's really good. Another one you can use is Firestorm, which will increase the radius of the vortex by 4 yards. So that'll help get more monsters if you get surrounded a lot. With that, you'll be able to help kill off some of the things when there's just a ton around you. So that's really good, but I always use Blade Storm most of the time. Now, onto your mantra. There's 2 of them. There's 2 mantras that are really good, and there's 2 of them that are bad. The 2 that are good is Mantra of Evasion and Mantra of Conviction. The other 2, the Retribution and Healing, really are just kind of mediocre. But first one I'm going to talk about here is Conviction. With Conviction, it's going to give you 12% additional damage and 24% additional damage for the first 3 seconds. Now, the first ruin you get is the best ruin, and that is called Overall. Now this ruin will increase your damage, will increase the damage totals to 24% additional damage and 48% additional damage for the first 3 seconds. Now, an effective strategy is, since you're generating so much spirit and you're really not using any other abilities for spirit except Serenity costs 10, Breath of Heaven costs 25, and Blinding Flash costs 10, those are really low amounts. The 50 spirit that it costs to use Mantra of Conviction, you can just keep using it every 3 seconds. That way you keep the 48% damage buff always on. So that is really effective to have 48% additional damage, because you'll be able to kill things much quicker. It'll really increase your DPS, and definitely want to use that ability there. But if you need more survivability and Mantra of Conviction with Overall is just not getting it done for you, Mantra of Evasion with Hard Target will increase your dodge chance by 15%, but if you keep using it every 3 seconds, it'll increase your dodge chance by another 15%, which will make it to where you have a 30% additional chance to dodge. Add that onto your already, like 20% dodge chance or 30% dodge chance. That's a 60% chance you don't take any damage at all, which will really increase your survivability. Plus, with Hard Target, it makes it to where you increase armor by 20%, which will be a big number late in the late game, and it'll really increase your survivability. So, Mantra of Evasion with Hard Target's typically what I use, but Conviction with Overall, really good too. So, that right there is the abilities that I use when I'm playing Monk in Inferno and I'm playing solo. Now, the passive skills I use are all pretty common to use. The main ones that people use is Seize the Initiative, which will increase your armor by 100% of your dexterity, which in late game you have a ton of dexterity, and increasing your armor by that much is a big number. So that's going to be a lot more dexterity, and a lot more armor, I mean. Now, the next passive skill I like to use is One With Everything. With One With Everything, your resistance to all elements is equal to your highest elemental resist. Now, this makes it to where if you stack one resist instead of stacking all resist, like you just stack a bunch of fire resist, all your resistances will be the same amount as your fire resist. So let's say you have like 150 fire resist, you'll have 150 of all other resist. So that's an effective ability, and it'll really save you a lot of gold when you're getting armor and you're looking into being able to resist things. Instead of looking for all resist gear, you can just try to stack one resist, and then One With Everything will give you all resist equal to that amount. So it's a really effective ability, and it'll really save you a lot of gold, and it'll really also increase all your resistances by a lot. Now, the last passive skill is, there's two choices. You can either use Transcendence, which will make it to where every point of spirit spent heals you for 62 life. Now, 62 life for every point of spirit spent. If you're doing the thing where you keep on using your mantra, that's 50 spirit. Now you multiply that by 62 life, that is 3,100 life every 3 seconds. So that's going to just be kind of like a self-heal just in its own. So Transcendence, really good ability, but if you find that the life that you're getting back from Transcendence isn't enough, you can use Near-Death Experience, which will make it to where when you're receiving fatal damage, you are instead restored to 35% of maximum life and 35% spirit. And you can only use that every 90 seconds. So let's say you get hit by a one-hit attack in Inferno, to one-hit anyone at any, with any kind of armor. You will not die because you'll go back up to 35% life, and it'll give you just another chance to live and continue to kill that boss or something. If you're fighting Diablo and he catches you in one of his bone prisms, you can just use Near-Death Experience will activate and you'll be fine. So Near-Death Experience or Transcendence. That right there is my Monk Solo Inferno build. It's really effective, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this build works out for you guys. I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and peace out, guys.